Hello, everyone. It's Zara Altair of Actation Now, and I'm here with the Midweek Zap. And my guest today is Denise Wakeman. Adventures and Visibility. I love adventures.
Me too.
And today our topic is HOAs, and I wanted to kind of walk through, for people who've been thinking about HOAs, to walk through um, what the steps are from getting it set up and going, and what you do until the time of the broadcast, what you do during the broadcast, and what you can do to use your HOA after it's done. So, Denise, we were talking in the green room about HOAs and why we each do them. So why don't you share with everybody why you do HOAs and only do them twice a month?
Okay, well, we'll start right there that I only do have my own show twice a month. I'm happy to be on other people's shows in between, but I think that if you're going to do Hangouts, the live, with an audience and the whole thing, that you need to be very clear about why you're doing it and what the purpose of doing an HOA show is. So for me, it's a way to connect with a bigger audience. It's a way to connect or to share information I know. It's a way for me to connect with my clients and customers because it gives them a way to connect with me in a way that it's not just, on private calls. And it also allows me to have conversations with people I want to get to know. And that's a big part because I do an interview show. It's called Adventures in Visibility. And I call it that because I love adventures. I think that life is an adventure. I think business is an adventure. And Hangouts definitely are an adventure still at this stage. Had an adventure last Thursday with my guest Stepan Hovnanian when we couldn't get the whole thing to start. So that was really an adventure. But and also that my focus with my business is on helping small businesses and entrepreneurs create a presence on the web, so create visibility so that they get found uh, and noticed and create more awareness for their business by the people who are right for them. So I'm marrying my love of adventure and what I do in my work with clients is helping them get more visibility on the web. So that's what I'm doing. I started off doing it once a month. Well, actually, it was kind of random in the very beginning because it was like, oh, look at this cool new toy. I got to play with this because I experiment with everything. And then I realized that I really liked doing it, and I kept talking to people that I wanted to interview, and so I went to once a month, and now I'm at twice a month. So, my story.
It's very similar to mine. I was like in just exploring on Google Plus and went, oh, HOAs, what are these? Oh, I think I want to do one. I was pretty just
Exactly.
kind of leaped in feet first. And I'm not sure that's right for everybody. So, Denise, maybe you could walk us through, what some of the basic commitments are when you decide to take on an HOA and what that means to someone who does take on having an HOA, especially considering some kind of series.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch the last few words there.
Oh, especially considering doing a series like twice a month or once a
Okay.
week or whatever it is.
Yeah, got it. Okay. Well, I think that when you make a decision to do a series, do a show, for example, so whether it's weekly show or a monthly show or twice a monthly show, then you do need to commit to at least a few months worth to see if it's going to fly or not. Because if you just do one and say, well, nobody showed up, so I'm not going to do it anymore, that's yeah, of course. We all start with zero audience or maybe just a few in our audience. because it's new. So if you want to actually build it into something, you've got to give it time. And a big part of that is going to be getting the word out, promoting the show. When I started, I think I had like 10 people on my first one. Now I've been working online for a really, really long time, since 1996. So, I've got a following. So it was, when I sent out my first email, it wasn't birds chirping. A few people said, "Oh yeah, I want to do this." But now I'm getting, 100 plus RSVPing before the actual event, and that's going to keep growing as more people come on board. So the idea is that you've got to be committed to what you're doing. I think that you need to, when you first decide, you need to know the purpose of it, as I started to say. You need to decide what it is that the topic is going to be. Hopefully it's going to be around something you know about and you're passionate about. That helps. But there's a lot of different kinds of shows, and if you just go watch a random selection of HOAs, they're all over the place, and there's some great stuff out there. So there's shows with panels, there's shows that are more like just one person who might be teaching something. That's a show as well. There's interview style, like what we're doing here today. So there's a lot of different ways you can do an HOA. There's nonprofits doing fundraisers. So it's really, anything goes, but make preparations so that you come off as being professional versus just sort of all over the place. Because we see that often, is that somebody just jumps on and says, "I'm going to do an HOA," and then it looks like they don't know what they're doing. So when I'm talking to folks about this, beyond the what, why, where, when, how kind of questions, I'd say before you ever do an HOA, go watch some first to figure out what style you like. And when you're watching them, RSVP, because that's what you want people to do too. So do all the things that you would want people to do. So RSVP, so that you start getting the notifications. +1, share, ask questions, compliment the host and the guest. Just start participating so you can see how the whole process works. Then the next step, if you haven't done this, and I'm sure there's some definitely some pros who are watching this now, so you can probably, just tune out for now. But if you haven't done one, the next thing I say is, okay, then do a practice one that doesn't broadcast. Just get on with a friend, a colleague, a client, something, and just set one up and see how. As a matter of fact, I did that this morning with a client. 3 of us got on together just to show how it all would work and how to invite people and that whole thing. So we didn't broadcast, but it was just get that first step of, like, this is what it's going to look like. This is what you click, that sort of thing. So, do your preparation before you actually dive in. That's always helpful.
I think in any business venture, when you're taking on a new component, you do want to think it through. Even if you're going to test the waters and see if it's right for you, which I think is really important. And yes, the more professional your presentation on your HOA, the better it's going to be. So there just even technical details like using some kind of earphones that you plug into your computer, which will keep your voice from echoing, because I know my first HOA, it sounded like I was at the bottom of a bucket because I didn't do that. And, if you decide that HOAs are right for you, investing in a good microphone can really help. A good microphone or headset can really help with your professionalism. And, if you're comfortable doing instructional HOAs and sharing your screen, that is one way to do it, but golly gee whiz, practice first, because dead time on an HOA is really hard for an audience to walk through. And then, Denise, let's talk about, okay, you've made the decision, you feel like you're professionally in persona to go ahead and do your HOA, and now it's time to go online. what can people do for their visibility? That's the reason I invited you is, you're about your online visibility. And that is definitely, I think, for most people, the aim of their Hangout on Air. But while the HOA is on, just like we're on right now, what are some things that people can do to enhance their visibility?
Okay, well, I have a pretty extensive process that I go through when I'm promoting and setting up and promoting my Hangouts.
Mm-hmm.
I actually have started documenting everything I do because normally it's just all in my head, and I know that's not a good place for it to be. So I've started documenting it, and I think I have almost 50 different things, different steps that I do from beginning to end. I'm not going to go over them all right now, but there are some critical pieces that if that's all you do, that'll be good too. So, one of the things I recommend is definitely create a header image for your event page, because that is how you can help brand yourself. And there's nothing like a big image telling people what it is that you're doing with that HOA to, get attention. So definitely create one of those header images. If you're doing a show, make it a consistent image. And if you watch any consistent show, you'll see that there is always an image that looks familiar each time. So now some people might change who the guest is in the banner, or the title of the content of the show, but the banner always looks the same. I have a banner for Adventures in Visibility. I use a picture that I took when I was in Peru last year that I love, and it's a clear blue sky, which to me represents visibility, and that's why I use it. And then being in an Inca site, that reflects adventure to me. So that's why I use it. I don't know if anybody else gets it, but I do. But at the very minimum, a banner. And there's a lot of information online about how to create banners. If you're not a designer, go to use Canva or go to PicMonkey. You can easily create something on your own. And at the very moment that I'm saying this, because this could change at any time, the size for that header banner is 1200 by 300 pixels. So that might be different tomorrow, but right today, that's what it is. The second thing that I recommend you do is create a YouTube thumbnail, a custom thumbnail, because that image, which at this moment in time is 1280 by 720 pixels, that cover image can be used in place of a trailer video if you don't have time to create it. But it's also a custom thumbnail that you can upload to your video replay after it's done. So you have, the title of what you of your Hangout, and that I always customize with a picture of my guest and the title of what we're talking about. So those are two things that are going to help you get visibility on YouTube and on Google+. Shall I keep going?
Well, I like all that because for most people who are doing this, brand recognition is really important. And the more consistent you are with your images and what you set up for your HOA, the banner, because boy, I'm telling you, if you don't do one, you've got this boring orange thing with little swoogly in it, that Google provides for you, and it is not appealing.
Well, not only that, it's generic, and it doesn't give your audience or your potential audience any clues as to what you're going to be talking about. And so you have this opportunity to create the image that you want people to associate with you. So at the very least, this is what you need to do. Don't use the default stuff from Google.
Absolutely, just absolutely, and then that I think it's so important. I just redid mine last week, and I'm really happy with, it's even more vibrant. I had help from a graphic designer because graphic design is not one of my deals.
Not mine either.
I like all the consistency, so I have the thumbnail, which I can change every week, and the banner, and it's really worth your time to do all of that. I had them before, but they weren't as visually vibrant as the ones now.
Yeah.
And so but at least have something, just like Denise uses her clear blue sky for visibility, and I have my lightning bolt for the Zap, that you have something that people can identify with right away, and they're getting the message that this is something they want to see, they want to engage in, they want to be here. I did want to bring up one comment from one of our guests, from Mark Pierce. This is what I did, Denise Wakeman. I had a practice HOA with another person, and we worked out the bugs. I needed to learn the inside interface and how to screen share.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That's perfect. I'm glad that you did that, Mark. Thank you for sharing that, because that's the best way to figure out how these things work, rather than doing it while you have an audience. I mean, that's not so good.
No, it's not. Yeah. So what else while the show is going on? What else do you recommend?
Okay. Well, most of the work I do is before the show ever airs, because I'm getting a reputation for someone who promotes their shows very well. My guests really like that, because I'm just like plastering them all over the place. And who doesn't like more visibility, right?
Exactly.
So since I typically have a guest, the first thing I do when they've agreed to be on the show with me is that I request their bio, I request their current headshot, and some bullet points of things that we're going to cover that they want to make sure that I ask about, or that we want to get clear through the conversation. And so once I have that, then I can craft a really good description of the event, because again, that's really important too. I've been invited to a lot of hangouts where there's no description, and it's like, well, what am I going to hear? What am I going to learn? So I use all that information to craft a description, letting my audience know, the people I'm inviting, who's going to be my guest, why they should care about learning from that, because I talk about a specific topic, which is about creating visibility, and everybody creates visibility in many different ways, and so that's what the criteria is for when I invite someone on. So I let them know what it is that there's that expertise of my guest. I include links to all their social sites so people can follow them, and I encourage that a lot. And I also have, which is very important, calls to action. Please share, RSVP, +1, please post your comments, please tweet about this. So I make sure that there's as much information as possible to help people share the event, so that, again, I can reach a wider audience, not only for myself, but for my guest. And then immediately...
Can I interrupt for just a second?
Of course.
Because before you go on to something else, it's really important to get that information about your guest, as well as your HOA, but about your guests, because I was at an HOA recently, and the guest was great and had some great information, and I wanted to connect with the guest, and within the description there was no link. There's our guest did this, and our guest has these books, and but there were no links, and there was no link to his Google profile. So I had to do some research in order to find out how to get in touch with the guest. But to me, it's a basic courtesy.
Yes.
That if you have invited someone to be on your HOA for any reason, that you give them the courtesy of at least providing their Google Plus profile and any other links that they might have. I was kind of surprised that there were no links, and so you don't want to do that. That's just a recent experience of mine. this week, and so it's you need to make sure those links are there, that the not just the name of the guest, but that the actual links are there.
Right. Well, I think that's a courtesy not only for your audience, but also for your guest, because let's face it, most of us aren't paying our guests to be on an HOA, you know, so part of the quid pro quo is you're giving me your time and expertise, so I want to give you some promotion. I want to help you build your audience too. At least that's how I look at it. That's how I look at it. So the next thing I do after that is I immediately create a suite of images, so maybe 3 or 4 images featuring the guest or a quote that they've said about something that relates to our topic. And I immediately, the first thing is I post a picture of my guest in the event, because that helps us connect, seeing a picture of somebody helps connect to who that person is, but also it helps that image that you add to the event page also gets posted on your profile, and if people share it, then it goes more viral again. So I always make 3 or 4 images that I use on other social networks as well to promote my HOA, and that's really an important piece here, is that don't just count on getting your audience from Google+. I've been doing on social networks since they all started, basically, because I've been working online, like I said, since the dark ages. So, I'm on every single social network. I use Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, Pinterest for bringing my audience to Google+. So you want to create a way that, because images are so huge now, I mean, every platform is focusing on images now, so I immediately create those. I usually create them in Canva, so I use a picture of my guests, again, why I want to have that headshot, and then I'll create, Adventures in Visibility, May 15th, join us, and give a link. So that's really important for bringing in your audience from other platforms.
Could you just slow down and give people the name of Canva and where they can find it? I know it's really easy. It's canva.com.
Yeah, it's canva.com, canva.com, and it's an image editor, and they create templates that are designed specifically for social networks. So there's one that's the right size for Pinterest, and one that's square that works great on every other site. And then they've got them they have a bunch of different templates you can use, and if you're not a designer like me, it makes it so much easier to create something that looks good. And you can customize all their templates too, with different colors and fonts and that sort of thing.
Yes, it's a lot of fun. I wanted to bring up another comment we have here from Jessica Maynard. I agree. I love when I am connecting with someone and I can easily go to the description and follow them quickly and easily. So it's thank you, Jessica, for just reinforcing that, because we both think it's very, very important. And Denise, we have another third left here, and I'm thinking maybe we can finish up with during, and getting those images up and promoting that, and talk some more about what happens after the HOA. It isn't really over. It's at least not for me.
It is not over. It's just beginning.
Yes.
And again, this is where I think that a lot of HOA hosts are leaving a lot on the table by not continuing to promote the video, because I mean, this is what makes HOAs so amazing, is that it's automatically recorded to YouTube while you're broadcasting. So now not only do you have this video on YouTube, on Google+, you can put it on your blog, which I always do a follow-up blog post. So, and I highly recommend you do that because you want to get that content now, associated with you on your own domain. So, um, if you want to see how I do it, my website's at denisewakeman.com, and if you go /HOA, you're going to see all my hangouts, how I do my after show blog posts. So I include a picture of my guest, I include the video, I get the video transcribed, and I will include a PDF download. It usually takes a few days for that to happen, but I also then upload the transcript as captions on the video on YouTube. What else do I do? I'll make some notes about what we talked about. And again, I always put all the links to where my guest can be found. If they talked about a book that they just launched or they have a program that they're doing, I will link to that, absolutely. And then I have at the end a call to action to get on my email list so that you can get notification of future adventures. So, it's quite a process, but that's just the blog post. Then,
it's so true.
It gets shared on all networks, but also
it's with the blog, and I know I also have just a list. I do a spreadsheet in Google Docs, and that updates automatically, but that is there with the current show, so people, if they want to just quickly get to any of the previous shows, they can do that. There's just a lot that you can do with the content that you have created by doing an HOA. And I know another thing that I do, although with my computer crash that I had in the last month, I'm kind of behind on this, but I like to strip out the audio and do podcasts.
Yeah, I strip the audio and put it on Soundcloud too, and then I will embed that MP3 on the blog post as well. So if somebody goes to the blog post and they don't have time to watch the video, they can download the MP3 and put it on their MP3 player. If they don't like audio, they can read the transcript. It's not the most highly edited transcript because that takes a long time, but it's fairly clean. And again, I always have calls to action in all of this stuff because again, this is something that a lot of business people forget, is that this is a promotional tool as much as it is an educational tool. And we are all in business, I'm assuming. I'm just going to make that assumption. We're in business. Yes. And so we need to keep reminding people how to find us and how to stay in contact with us.
And then we have a question from Al-Hadhonlan. Denise, how do you do the transcription of the video?
Okay, well, I have a person who I send it to, and she transcribes it for me. So, I don't do transcription at all. I will usually when I strip the audio, I just send her the audio, and I get it back in a few days. So, but there's also, what's the name of that tool? I can't remember the name of it, but there's an online service where you can upload your YouTube video and they charge $2 a minute to transcribe it, which is a little bit high, but it's still a fair price, and you usually get it back in a couple of days, but I can't remember what the name of it is right now.
And then we have another comment from Cheryl Deuce. That is what makes HOAs amazing. It's everywhere and can be repurposed for so much.
Right on, Cheryl.
Yes.
That's why I love them. That's why I love them. When I saw the potential of what an HOA could do, I was all over it. And for me, that was about a year ago. I think it was last April.
The same for me. I just
fumble through an HOA.
hold on. We have another question here. Oh, they're coming in now.
Mm-hmm.
Tammy's Office Solutions says, do you do all of your own editing, stripping the video for audio and transcriptions? Well, we answered the transcription part, so you want to go with the editing and stripping?
Okay, well, as soon as the video is up on YouTube, which is immediate, then I just go in and download the MP4. For instance, one, I want to make sure I have a copy of it in case something ever happens to YouTube or my account gets closed or something. So I keep a backup of all my videos. And then I just run it through Camtasia to strip out the audio. And there's other tools out there as well. And then I just throw it in Dropbox for my, it takes like 5 minutes to do this whole thing. And then I throw it into Dropbox for my transcriptionist. She sends me back the transcription, and then I have my VA go through it to make sure everybody's names are spelled correctly, and she gives me back a text version that I use for the captions on the YouTube video, and she gives me a Word copy and a PDF. So I just send things around because there's better things for me to do.
That's so right. But that was a really great question, Tammy.
Yeah, excellent question.
It is a lot of work that if you want to do all those components of the follow-up, you need to have systems in place and, as much help as possible. Otherwise, you're up till 1 in the morning or whatever, doing all these things.
It looks like Tammy's probably a VA or has a VA company, and so that may be why she was asking that. And definitely, this is work that I have my VA do. So I have somebody who does transcription, I have somebody who's a VA, and I have a tech geek. So, I have people helping me with various things.
And I just wanted to add to that YouTube has, something that will do a transcription, but it's awful.
It's terrible. I would never use that.
Don't use that.
No.
It's better to just not have it there at all than to try and use that. I just wanted to add that. And then we have one more comment from Mark Pierce. I repurpose all my HOAs to subject or topic, and I can get up to 10 short video excerpts from one HOA. Great marketing strategy, Denise Wakeman.
Thank you.
Yeah, I know. I haven't actually broken them down, but I do know a lot of people who do that, and it's on my list of all the things I need to do. Whoops.
Yeah, I probably won't be doing. I don't do little short video clips, although I certainly could. But again, like you said, Zara, it's there's just so many things, and
yeah, I know.
It's not getting done.
So we're kind of we're as usual going a little bit over our time, and so I'd like to ask you if you have some last anything that you want to words of wisdom you want to leave with the audience, or tell us a little more about how people can get in touch with you. Both.
Okay, my words of wisdom. If you haven't started doing Hangouts on Air yet, I encourage you to give it a try. Again, go back to what I said at the beginning where, watch them and practice and then show something. And even if you just have one person on it, that's okay. It's okay. We all started there. It's a great, great tool to really extend your reach. It is intimate, and that's what people are looking for. When I'm looking at the camera, it's like I'm making eye contact with you out there, and each one of you is an individual that I'm speaking with. And you can see my body language, you can see my nonverbal cues, and that is what makes these so powerful. So go for it. Go for it. You need part of what I do as well. And you can find me at denisewakeman.com, and also here on Google+, and on Facebook, and on Twitter, and on YouTube, and on Pinterest, and on Instagram, and on LinkedIn. So wherever you like to hang out.
Thank you, Denise. You have a lot of adventures. Oh, all right. Canva is thanking us for the HOA shout
Yay,
out,
Canva!
and yay, Canva. And then I will have to share this. Peter Lund, tuning in from the UK. I love that I can watch HOAs in replay as well as live. I'm often to be found watching an HOA when unloading and loading the dishwasher.
I love
Peter,
it.
that is wonderful. That is wonderful. Well, everyone, I want to thank you all for joining us today on the Midweek Zap. And next week, we're going to continue on with an HOA theme. Ronnie Venture is going to be joining us, so there'll be lots of more words of wisdom about HOAs. And Ronnie is kind of a finger on the pulse of what's going on with
The
HOAs.
master.
Yeah, he's the master. He definitely is. Anyway, thank you all so much. Denise, we want to say goodbye to everybody, and we'll see you.
Bye. Thank you for having me on your show, Zara.
Oh, my pleasure. It was lots of fun.